Brayden, are you ready for another exciting episode of Mentor Moments?
I am. We just want to take this time and just thank you guys for continuing to tune in and listen to Dr. Keener and I chat with some of our awesome guests. It's been a lot of fun, so just thanks again.
And as a reminder, Mentor Moments is a collaboration between Maryville University's Rehabilitation Counseling Student Organization and the Missouri Rehabilitation Association Eastern Chapter.
If I want to do something and I enjoy doing something, I want to make sure that everybody else has the ability to try and enjoy those same activities.
On this episode of Mentor Moments, we are welcomed by Dr. Gina Oswald.
Dr. Oswald is an associate professor at University of Maine at Farmington.
Okay, we are live. All right. Well, Gina, thanks again for, taking the time out of your day to talk with us and give us the opportunity to learn more about you. We'd love to hear a little bit about your career, just kind of what has led you to where you are today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both for having me. It is an honor and a pleasure. So a little bit about me. I've actually kind of taken a really interesting pathway to get to where I am, and it's been a really fun ride. I can say that honestly. I started back when I was 19 working at a county sheltered workshop for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I was a substitute who went in and worked in various sites with various groups of people whenever somebody was sick or somebody had surgery or for whatever reason on vacation, whatever. And so I just bounced around and worked with different people in different areas for a couple of years. And it was such a fun experience getting to meet so many different people and work on so many different things. But I did that while I was finishing my bachelor's degree in history and psychology. And getting degrees in those fields, I realized I couldn't really get a job with a bachelor's. And so I just came across the master's in rehabilitation counseling at Kent State, which was the university I was going to. And so I heard about it. It sounded interesting, and I went for it. And at that time, I became the graduate assistant for the program. And through that opportunity, I also was able to be a job coach and a job developer for the on-campus transition program for high school youth in the area who came to campus to work on work skills. And so I did that for a couple years. And then when I was finishing my master's degree, I became a vocational rehabilitation counselor intern. And I worked with the General State Voc Rehab Agency and the Services for the Visually Impaired. And I did that for my internship and was immediately hired into state voc rehab as a counselor, but in the rural counties of Wayne and Holmes County, Ohio, which is very rural farm country. And Holmes County was, not sure if it still is, but it was the largest Amish community in the world when I was working it, which was a super interesting cultural experience, and I loved working with that community. And I worked for BVR for 5 years with Wayne and Holmes County and then Stark County. And then when I'd been in there for a couple of years, I decided to go back for my PhD. And while I was getting my PhD, I was the program coordinator for that transition program that I worked for when I was getting my master's degree. So in my master's, I worked as a job coach for it, and in my PhD, I actually ran it, which was a super cool progression. And so I did that for a couple years while I was getting my coursework done. And then once my coursework done, I got my job at Maryville University with Michael. So I was an assistant professor at Maryville University of St. Louis for 4 years, which was really exciting. And I learned so much about teaching and learning and community service and service learning. It was just a really wonderful experience to get to focus on my teaching for 4 years. And then I decided that I wanted to then move on and work on more grants and research. And I was able to take a position at Wright State University in Dayton, Ohio. And I was there for 8 years. And during that time, I was promoted to associate and then to full professor. I ran the program, the undergraduate rehabilitation services program. I ran the transition to work endorsement program for special ed teachers. I also started the veteran services minor and the disability studies minor, and I ran those. And by the end, before I left, I was the faculty director for the Center for Teaching and Learning, which I totally credit my time at Maryville for giving me the knowledge and the interest to really focus on connecting with the CTL and then becoming the faculty director there. So I did that until I found Maine and fell in love and absolutely knew I needed to be here. And so I took a position at the University of Maine at Farmington, and I work in the undergraduate rehabilitation services program. I spearhead the online rehab services program, and I oversee the Assistive Technology Center on campus. So as of right now, I am an associate professor at UMF. And so that is my long-winded story of saying how I got to where I am.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It's great to see the sort of the arc of your career. And again, as the podcast Mentor Moments, really sort of seeing how you strategically crafted your career to meet sort of your love and passion, and then to also kind of continue to build it to the next stop, the next position, the next opportunity.
Absolutely. And I really did think it was, one of those things where you just keep digging at your dream job, because you find something else and then you see something else and then you're like, oh, that is what I want, or, oh, I want to move in this direction. And it really is one of those fun progressions we do over 20 years. And then you get to like the spot where you're like, oh yeah, I'm good. Like, I think this will work out. And it's just fun. So yeah. And it has truly allowed me to find out who I am and what I like, and then to keep moving in that direction.
Yeah. I really appreciate the emphasis on just how fun it is and how fun that process has been. I think just from a student perspective, sometimes that process can be almost daunting. Like, where do I want to go? What's my whole life purpose? Where am I going to go? But just riding that journey out and having fun while you're doing it, I love that perspective of it.
Absolutely. And I really think that's what it is, because I think that we go to school and we think, oh, and I'm going to get my dream job, and I have to know what my dream job is so I can get my dream job when I graduate. And that's not really how it works. Like, in your practicum and in your internship, you can try things out and see what you like and what you don't like. But it's this natural progression. And oh, by the way, as we get older, we change and we evolve and our interests change and what we want to do evolves.
Is that the career rainbow? Are we talking about the career rainbow here in different life stages? I'm not sure. It also makes me think of, Gina, like, it's the dream job of right now, right? Yeah. It doesn't mean, it's not, like, as you said, but both the job and we change and society changes. And so, to really...
services and, the needs of people change. And I think it's having that ability to kind of ride the wave and be like, yeah, I'm not sure, but let's just see how it goes, and be okay with that kind of not having all the answers.
Having multiple different jobs and different experiences, what is something that our listeners or even people that know you wouldn't know? So what is something that you want to share with our listeners that also has helped you in your job?
I thought about this a lot, and I thought, one thing that I don't think that people know about me unless they ask me a question like this, in which I tell them specifically, is that, most of the things I do right now, most of my focus for my research and my grants and my activities and my work, it's all based on not only what I want to do, but this intense personal philosophy that if I want to do something and I enjoy doing something, I want to make sure that everybody else has the ability to try and enjoy those same activities. It is not fair to not include everybody. And so I have projects on the accessible trail system that we built when I got here, because I was like, I hike constantly and I expect everybody to be able to get out into the woods and to enjoy that. I'm working with some people on an adaptive paddleboard because I picked up paddleboarding this year and I love it last year. And I want to make sure that if people want to be a paddleboarder, that they can do it no matter what their abilities are. I work on accessible maker spaces and ensuring that kids are getting in STEM and they're not getting tracked out of it, because I really enjoy going to our makerspace and building some. We recently just worked on, so at my university, our mascot is the beaver. And so now we 3D printed a little baby beaver that's got little gargoyle wings, because as Mike knows, I'm obsessed with Halloween. And so I wanted to have like a little prototype of a beaver that we could switch out for different holidays. And then, and so I just want to make sure that if I enjoy doing something, that other people have the opportunity to try it too. I just finished a book that is going into print on universal design and study abroad for students with disabilities, because I love traveling. I believe in transformational travel. And one of the things that was really important to me when I was at Wright State is we developed a completely, fully inclusive travel course that students with any type of disability could go on. And the director of our Office of Disability Services and I actually led that trip. We took students over to the UK. And then we came back and we wrote a book about it. And it's being published through AHEAD. And it's this concept that I want to do it, and I don't want anybody telling me I can't do it because of XYZ. So I don't want other people to hit roadblocks. And so I have had the blessed experience of being in a position that I can actually work on those projects and have the freedom. I mean, I teach a class on mindfulness. Does it get any better when you get to marry your personal passions with like getting to call it work and getting a paycheck for it? I don't know. I taught a class on the fundamentals of fierce advocacy. I mean, it's just, I think I have way too much fun with work, maybe. But this is what I do, and I've had the pleasure and the opportunity to be able to actually, make a career out of it, and so.
Well, that's what I mean, if there was a theme, I know you gave the theme, but I guess if I'm summarizing, opportunity and inclusion, right? So how can everybody have the opportunities, and then also everybody be included in those opportunities? So
yeah, and how do we educate people so that they know those are even opportunities, and then take out the barriers and the stumbling blocks that would keep them from getting to participate.
I love that. It sounds like where you're at now, going on that opportunity theme, it seems like you've been given a lot of opportunity to, explore those different areas of life. I mean, all those projects that you're involved in. I'm curious if there's any other great things that you'd like to highlight about what you're doing right now, with, all the projects that you're doing. Just a few great things that you have for working for, with, your employers and those universities.
Yeah, yeah. So I think right now what really excites me now is my international work. So not only like the universal design and study abroad things, but I've been working with UK partners at Anglia Ruskin University, and this past fall, another wild opportunity that came up. Our university got a grant to do a global virtual exchange because we weren't able to travel to the other countries to do travel courses because of the pandemic. We got funding to do virtual exchanges in which I taught Community Organizing 101 at UMF, and my counterpart, Julia Carr, taught Community Organizing 101 at Anglia Ruskin University. And then we had synchronous Zoom meetings with our students, and they did group projects. So our students were virtually taking the classes together and then doing group projects together. And it was all around, we focused it on the UNESCO global issues. And so these were, like clean water, healthcare, and, the different things that everybody struggles with in some way, or every area struggles in some way. And then we let our students pick what were the most important ones to them. And then they learned how to be community organizers. And then they went out and they did this community organizing project locally. And then they worked with their counterpart to do it from the Maine and the England perspective, and got to see how they were similar, how they were different, and had that cultural exchange, right from where they were at. And it was just that really cool opportunity to see how projects like that can keep evolving, because 4 years ago I was taking students over to ARU, but we couldn't do that right now, so we were doing the virtual exchange, and all of the different ways in which that can kind of permeate and manifest. And so I'm really excited with that. I'm really excited with all of my health and wellness stuff around mindfulness, around accessible trails, around accessible outdoor recreation. That's a super fun project I'm working on, and my accessible makerspace. That's
awesome. Nobody could ever say you're a professor in your ivory tower, right? That you're sort of somehow not connected to the community, and it's not even just the community, the larger world, I guess, as well.
Yeah, I'm certainly doing my best to be a global citizen and just get out there and try different things and take people with me so they can do it too.
So you're our first professor on Mentor Moments, and so I'm going to throw. I mean, I just say throw you a curveball here, but like, if somebody was listening to this and was thinking about a PhD, whether to again go clinical, to go administration, to go teaching, I don't know, any kind of thoughts about life as a faculty member. I mean, we're getting a little bit from it now, but any kind of maybe, I don't know, other tips or suggestions about sort of pursuing that route?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say is it is not easy. It is not easy. But it's pretty worth it. I mean, I'm really happy with the way, my career has turned out. I think what I would recommend to students who might be interested, or anyone in general who might be interested in a PhD, I think that number one, they need to be clear on what is expected in the program, but then also really talk to faculty members about what the career of a professor looks like right now, and what it looks like right now in different universities. Demographics are changing in this nation, and college populations are getting smaller, and so there aren't always going to be as many jobs, and so you really got to want it. And so I would encourage students to talk to teaching institutions, talk to people at research institutions, and really see, like, what are your options, and are those really what you want to do? I decided to go back for my PhD because when I worked at state voc rehab, I saw things that were working and I saw things that weren't working, and I wanted to do research on what wasn't working and to figure out how to make it better. And so, like, I always had a clear, like, I'm doing this because I want to do this. And so don't go into it because you just don't know what else to do. Like, be really intentional. It's not going to be easy. But if you are intentional and strategic and all of those other things, like, you can end up like me and really loving what you're doing. And there's going to be days that aren't great or this or that, but you can really find the type of institution you want to work at, find the projects you want to work at, find the colleagues you want to work with, and really make an amazing career and make it. That's the other thing I always thought about when I decided that I wanted to go back for my PhD and I wanted to teach, was I was working for the state, and I knew that in a year I might have 100 people on my caseload. So in a year I might work with 100 people, and that was great. I could really impact 100 people's lives in a meaningful way. But as a teacher, I might work with 40 to 100 students in a year, and those 40 to 100 students are going to work with 100 people. And I can help them, know what the evidence-based practices are, and know, what the legislation is, and know how to really work with people in a really productive and effective way. And so now I went from helping 100 people to helping 4,000 people a year, or, having that impact. And I thought that was something that would be something I wanted to pursue, and so you have to recognize that, no, I'm not going to maybe necessarily work with people with disabilities day in and day out as a service provider, but I'm going to help, this many people who are going to go do that. And
yeah, I know we talk about in class, like, sort of a systems approach, and Dr. Bertolino often talks about, like, throwing a rock in the water and the ripple effect. And that's, I guess, what I hear you, right? That ripple effect is, okay, we are impacting this person, but then they're branching out. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, so many awesome things that you've already, shared with us. Every sentence you've said could be a mentor moment, could be a piece of advice. I think that it'd be great for us just to hear any kind of advice or tips that you might have for our listeners as your mentor moment.
Absolutely. I thought about this too, and I really want my mentor tip to be bold. Don't be afraid. I think so often people kind of stick with what they know, or they stick with what they think they're supposed to do, or they wait for an opportunity to come to them. And I want to say, you got to make those opportunities. You got to say, I want that. And they're not looking at me for it, but I want it. And so I'm going to get out there and be in the running. And I need to make myself clear. I need to, show that I can and I want it. And so I think that really we need to just be bold and really go after what we want. Figure it out and then go for it. And then own it and be like, yeah, I wanted it, going for it. And I'm going to do what it takes to make you understand that you want to give it to me, right? Like I wanted this job, so, I went after it. And I think so often people don't, want to make waves, or they don't want to they're waiting for someone to recognize in them that they want it and they want something, or they're good at something or whatever. And if you're waiting for somebody else to make it happen for you, it's just not going to, or it's going to be 40 years from now. Nobody's got time for that. So,
well, that makes me think of, in listening to our talk here, I think in the beginning I would have said it's risk taking to move for a new job, right? And then to see that you sort of did it 3 times, and now hearing your mentor to be bold, it's not a risk when you're investing in yourself, right? It's sort of being proactive and being bold and embracing that opportunity to advance, to do the next challenge, or to see what the horizon has for you.
Right. I always say, rehabbers are only limited by their creativity and their flexibility, right? So like we're outside of the boxers all the time. And so for me, it's just like, you really just have to go after it. And yeah, I've moved 3 times all by myself, and I'm just like, I don't know anybody there. Okay, let's just do that. That's fine. And it works out, because you put yourself out there and you work really hard, and it pays off. It really does.
Well, Gina, I can't thank you enough for being on Mentor Moments. I know our listeners will be as pleased and benefit as well. So we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a wonderful pleasure.
So if you're listening to this, that means that you're listening to Mentor Moments. That means that you're probably listening on either Spotify or Apple Music, or maybe you're listening some other way. We just want to recommend that you continue to listen. Tune into some of our previous episodes, and stay tuned. Subscribe to us, because we'll have plenty more episodes coming your way as well.
In addition to the podcast, we have 2 other ways for you to stay connected with the Missouri Rehabilitation Association Eastern Chapter and Maryville University's Rehabilitation Counseling Program. We are proud to announce the creation of a YouTube channel and a blog. Both the blog and the YouTube channel will have all things related to the Missouri Rehab Association Eastern Chapter and Maryville University's Rehabilitation Counseling Program. Check us out.